I know he's all.
What's really good, my people? Welcome into No Catch Up Sports Talk via Chicago. I am your host, Sean Little. Big Nick the Quick with me, as always. NFL Week 7. You know what we're leading with. We'll have a whole NBA pod later on, but NFL Week 7. Favorite storylines going into the week. Scoring's down across the board. We got to talk about that. If you're betting unders in the NFL the last couple of weeks, you are absolutely cashing out. The bankroll is looking very stout for sure. Then we're going to get into the Philly sports fandom. What's going on right now in Philly is crazy. Phillies are rolling. Philadelphia Eagles, I know they dropped a game. They're still 5-1. They're still rolling as well. Still one of the best teams in the NFC. Biggest winners out of all this might be the 76ers because no one paying attention to those boys right now.
The mess over there, yeah.
And what's going on with James. Then I want to talk about Dak Prescott. You want to talk about a no-win situation. That's what Dak Prescott is in on a week-to-week basis. And then
it's kind of ridiculous.
Belichick and the New England Patriots are in a pickle. We'll talk about that. A couple other things going on for sure. You already know what time it is. No Catch Up Sports Talk via Chicago. Let's go.
Now look at Mossy. Really? Oh, so that's how you're going to play it. You going to do this? Okay, fine. That's all I needed. That's all I needed for him to do that. And it became personal with me.
Big Nick the Quick. What's goody?
How we feeling?
Man, you already know. Shoot a hat, man. Chicago Breeze Legends. I think I'm going to drop it.
It's beautiful.
I think it's clean enough to drop. You know what I'm saying? So be on the lookout for that.
I'm
Might be a little pricey.
I'm fresh off a trip to Iowa City. I know I'm assuming you've been there before.
Yeah. Shout out my high school girlfriend, man. She went to Iowa. So I was up.
Decent campus. Decent campus. Yeah. I'm always, whenever I'm around a college town, obviously with the daughter who's going to be in college in a few years, I'm always taking an extra eye around it. And I wouldn't mind that one.
Was that crazy? I just shouted out the high school girlfriend on that?
Yeah. I wasn't going to go that far into why you may have been there before. I was just going to say, I knew, but I assumed that you had been there before. I wasn't going to,
Was that crazy? That was kind of wild. That was a little wild. Yeah. But I've been to Iowa City.
Anyways, decent campus. Campus. Drove by Kinnick Stadium. Decent over there.
Kinnick Stadium is all right. I've been inside Kinnick.
Kind of gave me like the Evanston, Ann Arbor type vibe of a college town, which was decent, man.
So, I've been up there a few times.
3 hours away.
It was a lot of fun every time I've gone.
It looked like a lot of fun. It did look like a place that'd be a lot of fun to go to school at. Shout out Kirk Ferentz up there.
Sorry, that boy, his whole family
scoring no touchdowns.
His whole family. He got his son now running it, right?
I know. Someone had a shirt on that said "Punts is winning."
Dude, I saw a stat on the Iowa football team.
24th in the nation.
Hey, Nick. 60% of their offensive possessions 3 and out,
and they're 24th in the nation.
That's almost impossible.
That's crazy.
In 2023, 60% of the time you get the ball in college, you're going 3 and out.
But they win games. He's been up there forever, right? He's been up there for like 30 years.
Well, that's he's gone now. His son is running it, I'm pretty sure.
No, his son's the offensive coordinator. I think
is that what it is? Yeah, maybe that's what it is. No,
everybody's in, bro. It's nepotism. Everybody's in, man.
Yeah, they cashing out. They've been eating good out,
bro. We love it. We love it out here in Iowa City.
His Iowa City crib got to be crazy.
Crazy.
What? Shout out Kirk Ferentz, man.
He's been there since 1999. Yeah, shout out Kirk Ferentz.
Shout out Kirk, man. He's been getting some big checks for a minute.
Absolutely rich. How are you? How are you, Mr. Ferentz? I'm rich.
Oh my God! All right, I wasn't expecting us to open the show talking about Iowa and Kirk Ferentz, but here we are. You know what I'm saying? Let's get into NFL Week 7 because, man, this is when I really start to feel like things are starting to settle. We're really almost a little past a quarter way of the season, not all the way halfway, especially now with the 17-week season. But we know a lot about these squads here coming in, and this Week 7 slate has actually been really interesting. For those who don't know, me and Nick are in a pick 'em week to week, and we have to pick 5 games against the spread. These slates have been tough. There hasn't been a week the last 3 weeks where I've looked at him like, oh, yeah, I'm definitely going here, and here. I'm leaning there. Because typically what I do, this is my process when I'm picking my 5, actually. I'll open it and I just fire off right away on like what I think. No research, no nothing. And then I'll save. And then I get back and go through all my research and go through all my stuff and then come back and adjust. Sometimes that gut play, just purely a gut play, stays. Sometimes I'll change all 5. But there's been times where I've opened it up and I can't even pick 5. I'm like, damn.
And let's set it right. We get the advantage and disadvantage of going off the lines, whatever they're at on Monday night when it opens up, right?
Yeah, they get set
after Monday Night Football. So whatever happens between Monday night and Sunday morning, we're not affected by, for better or for worse. So
yeah, it gets set like Tuesday or somewhere in
Tuesday
between.
Morning. Yeah. But but it doesn't move. My point is, it doesn't move throughout the week. It's yes. What it's at is what it's at.
So there's been last couple weeks where I've opened up and I'm having a hard time getting through my 5 off my gut because they've been super tight. And that leads us into our first topic we wanted to talk about. NFL scoring across the board is down. Big Nick the Quick, you got some numbers for us.
Well, we got 13 teams right now currently under 21 points per game. And when you look at the bottom, starting with the New York Giants averaging 11.8 points per game. 9.3 in their last 3, so it's not getting better, and a paltry 1.5 points at home. You got teams like the Patriots averaging 12 points a game, 6.7 in their last 3. But even when you look at some of the other teams under 21, you look at Cincinnati, right? You look at Cleveland, who was supposed to have a franchise quarterback. You look at Tampa Bay coming off of some really good offensive years with Tom Brady. I understand there's a massive drop-off between Brady and Baker Mayfield, but it just seems like across the board, and really looking this past week, offense just looks anemic across the NFL, right? And I wanted to ask you, it was an interesting conversation. They were asking Rodgers about it yesterday on the McAfee show, and he attributed it to offenses being bad, not necessarily defenses being good, which I thought was interesting. For me, I think it's a mix of both. I don't think coaching has a big part of it. If you look at some of these coaching decisions around the league where various coaches are just leaving points on the table, like I get Staley has his 4th down philosophy, but in a game like that one where it's already extremely low scoring, to not go for the field goal there is almost just dumb. So I think decisions like that are absolutely contributing to it, but something's going on, right? You would think that with some of the rule changes on the defenses, you constantly hear defensive guys talk about how hard it is to defend and everything's a penalty. You would think that the scoring would just be exploding across the board, but it doesn't appear to be that way, man. So I want to know what's your take on it? What are you seeing? I know you watch almost every game. I watch just about every game of the ones that I can. Is it quarterback play? Is it defenses? Is it coaching? What's going on?
Yeah, it's all that. It's all of that.
All the above.
I would say legitimately it's a lot of quarterback play, man. There's legit 12 quarterbacks that can actually play. And that are in situations that are actually solid enough. 12 is a little short, but maybe 15. Like Jimmy Garoppolo is probably the cutoff. And he overall, he's just not very consistent and very good. He turns the ball over quite a bit. He can't push it downfield. It is what it is. He's that cutoff of where this guy is not very good. Like this dude's not going to in what way, shape, or form, if you watch Jimmy Garoppolo and go back and watch some of these turnovers and that Raiders offense, how are they going to score 25 points again? And in what world are they going to be able to do that consistently? Derek Carr is the same way, and especially the brand of offense they play in New Orleans. Those guys aren't putting up 24, 25 points a game. I would go with quarterback play first.
Okay.
And
so you think there's just a lack of quarterbacks that can actually get you to those levels of points per game at this point?
Yeah, I do.
So like someone like Burrow's an outlier. You think that's all injury and just the issues that they have over there?
He's played bad, man.
It's 16.7 points per game.
Burrow's been bad, but it is a mix of some type of injury with the calf and getting over that and coming into the season. And remember when we talked about coming into the year, why is everyone just ignoring this calf? Like he's just going to show up week one.
You're on that day one. Like,
and just be completely fine. I don't get it. Yeah. And then we got guys like Watson, who we don't know if he's is he back? Is he not?
Yeah,
he's been
it seems like a strange situation.
Yeah, so it's there's that. Like the guys that are playing elite quarterback, there's like 10 of them.
Well, but then even like you look at the bottom end, right? Like I don't know if we've ever had a bottom end of two teams quite like the Patriots and the Giants that happen to be in the same. Oh, not in the same division. I'm sorry. CMC.
East side, different conferences.
Different conference. But two teams in the Patriots and Giants that are getting worse offensively as the season goes on and are putting up offensive numbers that I don't know if we've ever seen teams be this incompetent offensively.
Yeah, no, it's bad. I mean, we talk about unders and gambling.
Like for instance, the Bears are not in the bottom 10 of scoring offense in the NFL. That's how bad scoring offense is in the NFL. The Bears are 19th. There are 13 teams worse than the Bears at scoring touchdowns in the NFL. That to me is astounding, right? If you were just to watch the Bears and not watch any other teams, you would assume this is one of the worst offensive teams in the NFL. And the numbers don't necessarily bear that out. Like, no pun intended.
Totals 55 and 36 to the under this school year. That's this year. That's 60.4%. So
if you just bet the under every single game,
you bet the under every week.
Crazy.
You would be eating right now.
You're one of the best handicappers in the world.
It's really it's simple. I think it's funny, man, because I think being an NFL coach is very difficult. I think being an offensive mind is even more difficult.
I think they make it more, yeah.
And I think playing the position of quarterback is the hardest thing in sports. It's that difficult. You need so many things to be on your side and be going right and working with you. And then when that stuff is working and running correctly, you need to be on top of your game.
Do you think that head coaching, a lot of these newer or the up-and-coming guys or whatever it is, you think that we've kind of rushed a lot of these guys through and they don't really necessarily possess the situational awareness or clock management that is required to run a team? Because when you're a head coach, it's not just calling plays, right? Like,
it's just the nature of the
part
business.
Of it is managing the game, right?
It's
just a lot of these decisions. I talk about Staley. You know, you see even a guy like McCarthy, who's been a coach for a long time. We've talked about his situational awareness and his multiple blunders for a long time now. So you think that contributes to it as well?
Overall, I think it's just the nature of the business. Of course, that contributes, but you're going to have turnover. The way the NFL has turnover, you're going to get guys that are green and they're not going to be ready to be coaches. And then they're going to get turned over as well. It's just the nature of how cutthroat the business is, how much win right now matters, and how short these leashes are getting. Like, for example, I still stand on I would want Justin Fields to play the entire year. Like, I'm not changing my narrative on that. I still don't know if he could play for real or not. Does he have flaws? Yeah. Can they be fixed? Yeah. I think if you got him in a different situation, we might be talking about this dude being an absolute killer. And we talk about, too, just overall organizational culture. Ravens are a great organizational culture. The Pittsburgh Steelers have a great culture. If you look around the league, a lot of these offenses that are struggling, they have young quarterbacks. The coach is suspect or new, and the organizational culture is bad. You have to be a crazy talent as a quarterback to overcome a lot of these things. Mm-hmm. And that's where the issues start to come in. Now, it looks like in Houston, DeMeco Ryans is starting to turn over that culture, though.
100%.
And it looks like they're going in the right direction. And what do you know? The young quarterback seems to have his head on straight and shit's going the right way.
So you're saying that competent organizations make a difference?
Competent organizations.
And no one would call the Texans competent over the last few years, but it's like to your point, DeMeco Ryans has come in, and it could be as simple as a head coach coming in and establishing some sort of accountability, a process, an expectation of how things are supposed to be done. And to your point, it changed their entire thing, right? If you're a Texans fan right now,
you're feeling great.
From last year being like, I don't know where we're going, to like, hey, I don't care what happens the rest of this year. Like, we have our guy.
Nick, if you remember, DeMeco Ryans and the Houston Texans, they had him on the tarmac. They remember. Do you remember when they hired him and they're like, DeMeco Ryans is the new. I'll pull up a picture for you. He showed up to Houston with his family. They were taking pictures on the tarmac with the jet, like Houston, I've arrived type of thing.
Yeah.
And it was just like almost like a different feeling then. Oh, let me see if I can find it.
Like you just felt good about how they welcomed in. Like
they were taking this shit seriously. You know what I'm saying? Like this was their guy.
Well, that's like the story. Tomlin. They said when Mike Tomlin came to interview for the Steelers job that Rooney, the Papa Rooney, picked him up from the airport in like a 1992 Honda Accord. and like drove him to the interview. You know what I mean? Just because like you wanted to get to know him, wanted to have that conversation with him, which is old school and all that. But like, you'd love to be the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? So obviously that works if that's how they handle business, man. Yeah, so that shit does matter for sure. I always thought that was a cool story.
And if you
like,
remember,
what other owner in the NFL is picking up a guy from the airport? You know what
right.
I mean? Like, yeah. Could you picture? I don't know. Throw out an owner.
Yeah, for
Dan
the
Snyder
Bears.
when he was around. Yeah. Whoever owns the freaking McCaskies picking up anybody from the
yeah.
Make you pay.
Hold on. Okay, I got it. Here it is.
They send you the Uber split at the end of the ride.
Hold on. There's like 14 pictures here. But I can't get it to pull up.
Yeah,
what I'm getting at is go Google DeMeco Ryans arrives in Houston. He has his whole family out in front on the tarmac. They're taking pictures. They're all wearing navy blue and red for the Texans colors. It looked the presentation of everything looked very good. And if you also remember, DeMeco Ryans played for the Texans.
Yeah,
he was a Texans guy. So. Yeah, sure. It looks like all that stuff is going really well over there. So
you're saying it's just lack. You're saying it's everything. Lack of quarterback. Defenses are better. We haven't talked about. So do you think defenses have anything to do with this?
I don't. I lean more bad offense than good defensive play.
So because if you put a whole bunch of good quarterbacks in there, or better than what we have right now, you would see the numbers go up substantially. You feel like.
Also, I don't know the numbers on the penalties, but I'm watching a lot of these games. I've never seen so many fucking illegal man downfield calls in my entire life of watching football. I feel like there's 2 or 3 every single game that I watch. And
that was probably an off-season rule emphasis.
Maybe that, yeah, that's what
they always have. They always have. What was at the beginning of last year? There was something at the beginning of last year they were calling like crazy until people just stopped. Remember the taunting, standing over people?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They called that, like, if you looked at somebody, they started calling it, and then it was dead. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So when they obviously get on their high horses about certain stuff, I agree on that. But yeah, I do think it's interesting, man. I think the quarterback thing, I'm probably with you on that, man. Like, if you really look through the landscape of the league throughout 32 teams, how many guys would you actually want? Like, I know we've done our quarterback rankings and we've talked about this before, but I don't think it's ever been more glaring than it is now, especially when you consider the amount of undrafted late round guys that are starting in the NFL. It's not even like you have a whole bunch of prospects that are coming in and flaming out. I feel like there's just less and less guys that you even believe in every year. That's how you have Howell starting games. That's how you get Brock Purdy starting games, right?
I'm going to be honest with you, man. The Heisman Trophy winner, surefire number 1 or number 2 pick, I am very shaky on in the NFL.
You don't like Williams?
I don't know how Caleb Williams' game transfers.
So do you think Mahomes is the only guy that lives like that can actually have success like that? Where like the whole thing is pretty much off script?
So a lot of the time it's off script. I mean,
and we talk about all the time. We have quarterback conversations. We don't include Patrick Mahomes because it's not real, right? So
I also think there's a difference between off script and like a really good script where he has different options and then has the ability to make time to hit that third read on stuff.
Never put it on. It's always comes back to read for you and the coach every time.
No. I was just saying
Mahomes a really good script when Mahomes fucking runs backwards and throws it across his body.
I was saying that you have to have the ability to go off the script.
I got you. Yeah, that comes with trust from the offensive staff. They have to tell him he can. For sure. He's not the only quarterback in the league that has that kind of autonomy out there. There's a few guys that can make that happen.
So how do we even get to Mahomes? I'm talking about Caleb Williams anyway. That's what I want to know. How do you bring this shit back to Mahomes?
Because of how Williams plays, the biggest comparison would be like a Mahomes type.
Man, boy, ain't no Mahomes comparison, man. Cut the shit, man.
Sean doesn't like light-skinned quarterbacks, so what I've come to the conclusion on.
Speaking,
get him a Tyrod Taylor.
I'm literally getting ready to defend Dak in about 10 minutes here for about probably 15 minutes. So shout out Dak, my boy. But yeah, that's a great example. Like, I have questions about the best guy that they have,
a surefire guy
in the college ranks, and I'm like, man, I don't know, bro. It's just a very difficult position to play. So yeah,
even you look at Trevor Lawrence. Like, Trevor Lawrence is one of the most hyped quarterback prospects we've ever seen coming in, and he's been good, but he hasn't been great. You know, he's probably not where you think Trevor Lawrence would be right now, considering that was a freshman at Clemson. We waited 3 years for this guy to come out the draft. Like, he was the number 1 pick. Game 5 in Clemson.
He was the hottest. He was the hottest thing smoking since Andrew Luck out of college at the quarterback position.
Without a doubt. Yes. So, and Caleb Williams is the hottest thing smoking since Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a Heisman. Trevor Lawrence doesn't have that. He's going to put up a lot of points. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's for example, one of the best quarterbacks in my opinion in the world is Justin Herbert. He looked like shit on Monday.
Yeah.
He looked terrible.
We need to fire the coach.
He was missing throws left and right. I know he's dealing with a messed up finger on the non-throwing hand, broken middle finger, dislocated, fractured, whatever you want to call it. But he was missing wide open throws, and he's got a lot of offensive guys with him. Eckler, Keenan Allen, just a lot of guys.
Yeah, so, absolutely. But I put a lot of him on. I feel like we talk about McDaniel singular all the time, right? And just that
Black Mike,
that marriage with for lack of better, that marriage with Tua, right? And because he has a guy who's in his ear and understands what he's trying to do, and
it is a marriage.
Yeah, Justin Herbert has
out there solo
fucking loads more talent than Tua could ever imagine. You know what I mean? Like Justin Herbert, we talked about this last week. Justin Herbert, if you want to talk about from a pure talent perspective, if you told me that Herbert's the one or two most talented quarterback in the league, I wouldn't have too much of an argument with you, right? As far as just from a pure physical standpoint. But when you watch it, it's just not always there, right? And I think, Monday night was a great example of that. But just overall, the Chargers are a great example of that. So can it come back to coaching, right? Or some of these teams underachieving because a lot of the coaching that we're seeing in the NFL is just awful. Like, I see bad coaching, and for me, I text you about it all the time. Like, some of the coaching things that I see, it makes me sick to my stomach, right? Like, there's certain coaches that I watch them in situations, and it makes me sick to my stomach. Bad. And I'll text you about it all the time. What are we doing here? Why does Mike McCarthy burn 2 timeouts in the first 3 minutes of the fourth quarter? Why, you know what I'm saying? Why do we constantly find the same teams in the same situations where they don't know what's going on? You even have a guy like Sean Payton who doesn't know it's 4th down.
Yeah.
And he's supposed to be Jesus, allegedly. So
his paycheck would say so.
His paycheck would say so, and the way that he carries himself would say so. So I don't know. So I guess the last question I have is what do you do going forward? Is there any way you can fix it? Like, how do we better prepare these quarterbacks that are coming in? Are we rushing guys through too fast? It used to be like have a guy wait, but now the logic became, these guys are coming in so much more talented. We got to play them right away.
But also the reason too that it seems like there's a lot less guys that can play is because we're at the very peak of asking these guys to throw it literally 40 times a night.
Sure.
There's none of that like running a rock and splitting. Only team running the rock and playing D and it's like 50-50 balance. It's Philly and San Francisco.
Philly's not even running the ball that well this year.
Yeah, right. So San Francisco's like the only team in the league. They got guys, dude. They got Mac Jones throwing the ball 40 times, 45 times. Zach Wilson 40 times.
Yeah,
it's just not like those dudes can't do that.
Yeah,
it's you're just asking them. What did Dak do the other night? 21 of 27.
Yeah. And he's getting killed for it.
Yes. Sign a lot of guys up for 21 of 27 and it would look a lot different, right? If you're going to ask Derek Carr to throw it 45 times, expect a couple interceptions, bro.
Mm-hmm.
That's just comes with it. So it's all about the way they would look a lot better is you didn't ask them. You didn't ask so much of them, had a lot more balanced offense. And I think Kyle Shanahan knows that. Mm-hmm. And that's why he focuses the roster construction with Lynch to be as balanced as possible. That's it. It
also helps when you're paying your quarterback $850,000. It gives you quite a bit of flexibility in roster construction.
Sure, but you saw the Cleveland was locking shit up. McCaffrey went out. Purdy had to throw that thing. Purdy started making mistakes.
Cleveland's defense is
legitimate,
very legitimate. And I said that at the beginning of the year. I'm sitting on a Cleveland wild card ticket. I'm worried that they might fuck around and win the division now. But their defense is legit. It's been legit. Yeah. That's why I was so strong on them coming in. I'm like, if Watson is decent, they're fine. But we don't know what's going on with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah,
it seems very, very mysterious situation.
I think he's gonna play this week. So
come back, but
yeah. Let's move over to Philly. they got it locked in right now. Philly sports, being a Philly sports fan has to be spectacular at the moment. Phillies up 2-0 in the NLCS. Eagles 5-1, and they've been good now. They're coming off a Super Bowl run, continue to put it together. Looks like they're going to be a good team for quite a while. I wanted to ask you, what would your ideal situation for Chicago be? Would it be just football, baseball, or would you rather have football, basketball be good? Playoff baseball is fun. Obviously, we're not the biggest baseball guys.
I don't care.
Both
teams have won in my lifetime, and it's fine. It was cool. It was cool the White Sox won and they broke their drought. It's no secret. I don't like the Chicago Cubs, but I was not happy that they won, but it was just kind of like, all right, it's over. How long can this go on? And obviously the city was happy, but I don't care. It's over with. If they're never good, if neither of those teams are ever good again, it's whatever to me. I'd like to root for a fun baseball team, but it's not like on my list. Like when we talk about our sports pecking order, baseball has fallen so far down. Like I watched 0.3 seconds of Philly and Arizona yesterday, and it was 10-0. I was like, you can't keep me here.
I literally didn't.
You can't keep me here. You know what I mean?
My baseball love is in the toilet.
Anything but that. So like, yeah, it wouldn't matter, man. For me, it's basketball and football, and it's really. I talked about this yesterday with Nikki. It's really football. Like obviously, I want the Bulls to win, and it's great. But I've seen 6 of them. It would be great to have them win one as an adult, but it's all good. I feel like my Bulls cup is full as far as like I can't complain. But the Bears, the team that I support probably more than anything, has never done anything for me. So yeah, I would love to be in a position of rooting for a fun football team. I've rooted for maybe 2 or 3 in my entire life, and really one that went anywhere, and they didn't even have an offense. So we've never had the ability to root for a football team. We've never had the ability to get excited about a quarterback. We've never had a Jalen Hurts. We've never had any of these guys. I don't care. We barely had a Kevin Cobb. So I would love to be in the Philadelphia position.
For those who aren't in a big city like Chicago bigger than Philly, but Philly's still a metropolitan city on the East Coast.
Yeah.
If you've never been in a major city when a team is making a title run, let alone your football team being very good, and now your baseball team being on the verge of going to the World Series, it is a different atmosphere in town. Mm-hmm. It is a different buzz around town. It feels different. Completely. That's the best thing about sports. Like no other thing can do that. Literally, the city of Chicago, when the Cubs were making the run, when the White Sox were making the run, when the Blackhawks were winning titles.
Time period. Look, we weren't watching hockey, but everybody had fun.
It's just a different buzz. Yeah. People are happier. People are spending money. People walking around town, rocking the jerseys and the hats, saying what's up to each other.
Absolutely.
To the other person that's wearing the hat. That is the best part about your team being very good. The camaraderie. The city is buzzing. Everybody's showing love to everybody. I bet you, Nick, when your sports teams are good, violent crimes are down.
Yeah, everything's down. Everybody's having a good time.
If the Bears and the Bears and the Bulls were in the position that these Philly sports fans were in, I could guarantee you violent crimes down in Chicago.
Hey, everybody's having. I'll tell you something right now. The Chicago Bears won the Super Bowl on January 20th, 1985. My birthday is October 29th, 1986. That's 9 months to the date. Everybody's having a good time when your teams are winning. All right, like
I got what you. I didn't get what you were saying.
Yeah, exactly 9 months to the day. I'm a Super Bowl baby, so yeah, I get it. Listen, man, and that's why the Bears thing. It always comes back to the Bears. We didn't do a Bears episode this week. That's why the Bears thing is so depressing, because when you look at the one team in this city that could really unite the town, it's not the Blackhawks. You got a lot of people who don't watch the Blackhawks. It's not necessarily the Bulls. I believe the Bulls won right now. You still have portions of the city who aren't going to necessarily go for that. If the Bears won, this place would be on absolute fire. Like, it's indescribable. It'd be nothing like we've ever seen before. I guarantee it. Yeah. So that's what makes the Bears thing so hard. Just like when the Eagles won, place was on fire. Meek Mill hasn't paid for a drink since in the town of Philadelphia. right? Like just like when any of these teams, man, like when you have this type of success
Nick
with
Foles.
your main teams, with the team that everybody, Nick Foles can do whatever he wants in Philly. Nick Foles buys a house, he doesn't pay interest in Philly. You understand what I'm trying to tell you?
You say he's not paying property taxes out there.
Nothing, none of that. Y'all hold that 8%. I'm not paying it. It's fine, Mr. Foles. They call his wife Mrs. Foles. You know what I'm saying? Like they're good. So yeah, absolutely. I was talking to Cody, my buddy Cody. Shout out Cody. He's from Toronto, big sports town. Yeah. He told me, and the Leafs are like religion in Toronto, right? But the Leafs were like the Cubs. They haven't won in like 50 years.
Artists, the league.
He said when the Raptors won, it became a Raptors town, and it is to this day. He goes, there was nothing like it. The whole town was. I was like, was it really that crazy? He's like, bro, the whole town was on fire, and it hasn't stopped since. You know what I mean? To the point where it flipped it from, it's still a Leafs town, but he's like, the Raptors run the show now. So, yeah, man, that shit matters. Absolutely. So if you're in Philly, you're buzzing. I hate Boston more than I hate Boston sports. I think Boston sports fans are the worst fans in the world. They've won everything over the past 15 years. The Celtics have won. The Bruins have won. The Red Sox have won. And the Patriots have won several times. So, yeah, of course, man. We don't get that. Yeah. Our teams win and then decide they don't have to win again. And that's the truth. And you know why? When you have a team that doesn't win for 108 years and people still spend money, what does that tell the other team? We don't got to fucking win either. We can win in 1985 and live off that for 40 years. We can pull 6 rings in the 90s and guess what? Call for the eighth seed every single year and we're happy. And then I can use this money to support my baseball team. That's what it is out here, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't even know how we got to this. I know we were trying to talk about Philly, but
like that depresses
me about Chicago sports. We should be in that. We should be in that
ilk
situation. I know you see it in New York too, because New York sports teams don't win shit either, as much as they should.
Yes, no question. It's the exact same thing.
The Knicks haven't won since what? 1978 or something?
Yeah, Phil Jackson and them boys.
Never mind. Sorry.
Phil Jackson and them boys, man. But the Knicks is on their way back.
Yeah, for sure, man. Go Knicks, man. I love them, man.
Shout out to Knicks, man. You already know how we coming, man.
Man, true blue, baby. Blue and orange, dog. NYK all day, heard?
Jalen Brunson, you heard me?
Bang, was it Bing Bong?
Bing Bong.
Bing Bong. Anyways,
funny.
But yeah, man, it's just like, I feel like
I was just trying to get the overall, like, if you've never been in a big city when the team is winning, man,
it's great.
It's almost worth, if you're close to Philly, go down there and kick it, try to catch a game or something just to feel that atmosphere. For example, I was really thinking about going down Sunday night to Eagles Fins because I think by that time, the Phillies might damn near be in the World Series. That atmosphere in Philadelphia is going to be crazy on Sunday night. And they're releasing the Kelly Green uniforms. It's going to be a big time party down there. So that'll be, and Philly coming off a loss. So that'll be an extravagant atmosphere down there. All right, let's switch over to Dak Prescott, man, because I think
Dakota Rain.
I forget his name is Dakota, which is hilarious.
It's Dakota Rain Prescott.
Yeah, Dakota Rain, DK.
He should go by DK Prescott.
DK Prescott for sure. DRP. That shit kind of hard too, low key. Anyway, Dak Prescott and the Cowboys go out and get a win Monday Night Football prime time. Beat everyone's love child, Justin Herbert. Get the win. 1-score game. First thing I hear on multiple outlets on Twitter is that Dak and the offense and Mike McCarthy were not aggressive enough. I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah.
If he's too aggressive and turns the ball over, there's questions on why are they opening up this much. Dak isn't that guy anymore. He can't throw it. He's more of a game manager. They need to rely on Pollard to run the ball, work off play action. He can't go out here and be this aggressive with Dak Prescott because he's going to turn it over. So they slow it up. Like I said, 21 of 27. has a rushing touchdown using his feet extremely well, and he's still catching flack for that. Why I'm rooting for Dak Prescott is because he is in an absolute no-win situation every week. He has to be perfect every single week, and even when he plays well and plays really good and they get the W and he's making plays, getting the ball to CeeDee Lamb, who had 100+, getting the ball to Tony Pollard on a huge play, on a broken play that he made happen with his feet, it's still problems.
Yeah.
So I'm rooting for Dak, and I'm a fan of Dak because he is in a shit situation. Every time he gets in front of the mic, they ask him about some shit from last year or why he's turning it over.
Listen,
and what Jerry Jones.
In the year 2025, Dak will be answering questions as to why he led the league in interceptions last year.
Yes, and what Jerry Jones said in the tunnel after the game, and Mike McCarthy, he is in a shit situation. And yes, he gets paid handsomely for it. That's part of the job. But man, he can't win for losing. If he plays well and they win, he's still asking questions about aggressiveness and did they do this or that. And then when he plays like shit, they're calling for Cooper Rush. It's just like it's such a nasty spot for him. I'm rooting for him to continue to keep getting W's and continue to keep balling because he is in a rough situation.
Well, and isn't it easy? So Jerry Jones came out and criticized the decision to not go for a touchdown at the half, which I mean I would have too. I would have tried to go for it. I would have criticized if I'm the owner of the fucking team after a win. But can't Jerry just say, hey, I'm really happy we won in a really big game off a bounce back after last week. I think the team did great. Does he have to so I'm talking about from McCarthy's perspective, he doesn't make it any better. He always feels the need to remind you that he's in charge and there's something that he doesn't like. There's no reason to call out that play before the half. No reason at all. Other than that's what Jerry does, man. So, yeah, I think the people around Dak don't make it any easier. I've been telling you all year, they keep asking about last year's interceptions. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen a guy answer for something that happened 52 weeks ago. Let's move on. I don't care about why he led the league in interceptions last year. I've moved past it. It seems to be something that can't be let go. But, yeah, you're 100% right, man. No matter what he does, he's going to be ripped apart for it. And he handles it with class. He is a classy guy. Right. He gets up there. He takes it on the chin. It'd be very easy for him to get up there and just be like, man, fuck y'all, right? We're 4-2. I'm not trying to hear any of that shit. I'm sorry, 3-3. No, 4-2. 4-2. I'm not trying to hear any of that shit from y'all. Whatever. We just won a game, another primetime game on the road against a good quarterback. And that's not what the narrative is, man. It's always just what they did wrong, and your owner doesn't make it any better. Your owner still won't commit to you. Jerry Jones will not commit to Dak long-term. If they ask him about it, it's always well, yeah, he's our guy, but it's not the way you would say it, right? You talked about C.J. Stroud. If you were to ask McNair, whoever owns the Texans, about C.J. Stroud, he'd be like, what are you talking about? All I see is C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud, C.J. Stroud, C.J. Stroud. I'm going to name my kid C.J. Stroud, right? With him, it's oh, yeah, well, we got to pay Micah. We got to pay this person. So we're going to see. It's you're almost set. It's the same thing you did last time. You're setting it up for what's going to be a tense contract negotiation, right? So you constantly have him on edge. You're never committing to him. And then he's going out there and he's getting killed in the media with dumb shit after a win. So, yeah, and I'm not Mr. Dak Prescott, but I'm with you on it, man. It is kind of crazy how this guy gets treated. When a lot of other quarterbacks, it's just kind of let go. But I think that, again, it's because the owner doesn't make it any better. Jerry, he's not Jerry's guy. He never has been.
You know what it kind of reminds me of, and we'll get into this as the NBA starts. I gave it out, or I'm going to give it out here for the NBA. I like the Dallas Mavericks team total under 43.5, or win total under 43.5. You know what this reminds me of? Every time I see Luka answer a question about Kyrie, it seems forced. There's no enthusiasm. He's not all the way in on this situation that he's in Dallas. And every time I see him get asked about it, that's the feeling I get. That's my read. That's my view of the situation. But they were 5-11 together to close it. Hold up real quick. To close the year last year. They haven't played all preseason. They've been dealing with injuries going back and forth. I don't. I'm trying to. And then they add what? Grant Williams.
Yeah. Who could not play for the Celtics last year.
The defense and on that side of the ball should get blown out. They drafted the guy from Duke. I'm blanking on his name right now. He's supposed to be a defensive anchor.
They say he's going to start. Yeah,
he's going to start. Oh, they don't have any bigs.
They have no bigs. Yeah.
So I don't want to get all the way into the NBA, but yeah, it reminds me of every time I hear Luka address a question about the team and Kyrie and meshing and how they're going to get along. It's like fine, but it's not like, yo, this is my guy. And I can't wait to get on the floor, and we're going to try to go out there and be a top 4 team in the West. I never get that feeling. Yes, exactly.
Not emphatic. Hey, real quick, only because you have a good meter on this. You called Russell Wilson before everything hit the fan. I remember we had the episode and you were like, hey, I think this guy's a nightmare behind the scenes. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Do you get that same vibe with Luka? Behind the scenes, this guy might be a bit difficult. He's a young guy, but
like the Russell thing was a different way, right?
Yeah,
like,
for sure. He was a fucking, yeah.
I think behind the scenes, he may be getting, I think there's a difference between impatient and a nightmare. He's starting to be like, man, been here what? How long has Luka been there now? This is year 6? Year 5?
Yeah, but it's not like it's all the organization's fault.
Well, I think in his eyes, he's like, I know it's not mine. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what are y'all gonna do, and what are we got? Similarly to what that Giannis shit.
Yeah, Giannis is different though. Giannis doesn't show up to the arena overweight and take a few days off and come back 20 pounds heavier.
But what I'm getting at is
he
was still getting a little impatient before this Dame thing.
Oh,
he was letting it be known, right?
He wouldn't sign the contract.
Similarly, that every time I hear Luka, he kind of just seems irritated. He's not he's not super happy.
No.
In my opinion, every time I see him. So is he a nightmare behind the scenes?
I'll say that, yeah.
I wouldn't say he's a nightmare behind the scenes yet. But I think he's starting to really question things. And
Derek Lively is who you're talking about.
Derek Lively is who I'm talking about. Yeah. He's the dude, the 6'11", 7-footer from Duke that I actually watched a bunch of film on him yesterday with him just being the defensive anchor, playing in the pick and roll. But then I was thinking about it. I'm like, this dude's going to be playing the pick and roll with fucking Seth Curry and Kyrie. He's going to be on an island all night long.
All night long.
So, and he's a rookie.
He's not playing with Drew Holiday back there.
He's going to be running pick and roll with literally Luka, he's
going to get attacked every.
Oh my gosh, they're going to put him in pick and roll all night, attack him at the basket, and he's going to have to make decision after decision after decision.
Yeah, against Joker and Murray or LeBron and AD or whoever in the out west.
Yeah. So, and also, I know I just said we weren't going to talk about the NBA, but because we'll get to that. The Dallas Mavericks were like 25th in defensive rating after like the last couple months when Kyrie got there. And some of that is a little swayed because they tanked the rest of the year at the end of the year and didn't play.
Sure did.
But they were like top 10 in fast break points allowed on D. So in other words, they're not getting cooked in transition. Dallas is one of the slowest teams in the NBA.
Remember, that was Kyrie's problem. Kyrie's like, why do we play so slow?
They're not.
Like, what are we doing here?
Their pace is they're one of the slowest teams in the NBA, especially when Luka is running things, which that's who's running things. They don't give up a ton of fast break points, so they're not getting beaten in transition. They're literally getting put in half court and just getting scored on over and over and over.
Stop anybody. Yeah.
So that team,
Grant Williams is their solution to that.
Yeah, that's a 39-40 win team. Dwight Powell's still there. Yeah. It's a lot of the same guys. Tim Hardaway.
43 is absurd.
Lively is going to be playing pick and roll D with Kyrie, Luka, Seth Curry, and Tim Hardaway Jr.
Yeah.
That's zero help.
Style. Yeah.
So
I don't know how they got that at 43. That's probably I think
that's just like it's just a 40 win basketball team.
I actually think things could go really ugly there.
Yeah,
Simmons was talking about it yesterday. He said Kyrie hasn't had a normal NBA season since 2017. So we're banking on him having one this year. Yeah. I mean, history is telling you something's going to happen with him out of the ordinary. You'd be surprised if it didn't.
we talked about this when he started pulling that bullshit in Boston. I said, no, bro.
Oh, yeah.
This is complete. He's completely out of pocket here.
Yeah, he's out of here.
You asked to go to Boston.
That was pre-pandemic.
They gave you the full keys to the franchise, and he was saying all types of crazy shit in the tunnel. Yeah. He was doing all types of shit. So
hated him.
Yeah, so we don't got to get too much into that. But I did want to talk about Dak. I think he's in a really tough situation. So if you hate Dak, I don't know how. I'm rooting for Dak every single week because the nonsense that he has to deal with on a weekly basis is ridiculous. I got
nothing against him as a person. I don't think he's the greatest quarterback, but yeah, I got nothing against him as a man. I'm definitely rooting for him because I think that, again, the odds are stacked against him, and it makes it worse that your owner, who we talk about all the time, is a traveling press conference.
But
always throws you under the bus.
And listen, last year, the offense was pretty good. They were good on offense. They get rid of Kellen Moore. This is Dak Prescott's situation. He has an offensive coordinator that's younger, came in and opened it up. Mike McCarthy's arguing with said offensive coordinator because he thinks he doesn't run the ball enough, but they're having success. So the head coach and the offensive coordinator aren't on the same page, which clearly affects the quarterback. And then you're dealing with the owner.
McCarthy got rid of Kellen Moore because Kellen Moore was a threat.
Right. But that's what I'm getting.
He was a threat.
But that's what I'm getting at. Dak is in a room with a coach and an offensive coordinator that aren't on the same page. He's there, and then right down the facility hallway, Jerry Jones is talking about Cooper Rush. Yeah. This is the type of shit that Dak is dealing with on a year-to-year, week-to-week basis. And it's just a lot of quarterbacks wouldn't be successful at all, let alone solid as Dak has been in a lot of big spots. And then when he's losing games, he's literally losing games in the playoffs to the best defensive team in the NFL. You know how many teams have gotten beat up by the Niners in the last 2 years? Damn near all of them. All of them. No, man, Dak's my guy, man. I'm going to rock with Dak till the wheels fall off. I hope they win the Super Bowl.
You're right. You did have a good 15 for Dak here.
It's just the truth, though. It's the truth.
All right, Sean's rocking with Dak.
He has He has no solid. He's standing in the fire alone a lot.
Okay, so I will say this. I'm gonna push back only on this, right? Yes, the outside noise for sure is very loud on Dak, but here's one thing I'll push that back on that Dak or anybody can ever argue with, right? A lot of quarterbacks can sit and look around and be like, y'all have done nothing to fucking help me. The Cowboys have always prioritized bringing in talent, no matter the cost, make a big trade, move up in the draft to get you a receiver, bring in this guy, bring in that guy. So from that perspective, I will never sit here and tell you that they have not done everything possible and drafted extremely well to help Dak Prescott out, right? So again, there's a lot of quarterbacks who can look around and be like, y'all haven't helped me at all, right? You guys have made misfire after misfire. You haven't prioritized my development. You haven't brought in people who are going to assist in that development. You haven't surrounded me with talent.
Offensive line has been very good.
Oh, my God. It's been good it's one of the best offensive lines in the league for 10 plus years. Going way back, right? Going way back. So, and Jerry has always prioritized bringing in talent. So I will say that. I'll give him that. You made it sound like for a second there, like they're just throwing Dak on. It's not on a playing island. They're for sure throwing him on a post-game, pre-game.
It's a lot of dysfunction. It's a lot of dysfunction going on.
But they have given him the tools to win.
Nick, who was his?
Give him the tools on the field to win.
Who was his who was his head coach before Mike McCarthy?
Garrett.
Okay. All right. Let's be serious here.
Yeah. Well, no,
let's be serious on what's been going on.
But they have brought in talent on that roster. You got all pro players all over the place. I don't know if any team has more all pro guys running around. Maybe the Niners. Than
maybe the Niners.
Yeah, the Niners.
Jimmy Garoppolo, that talent that boy had for years.
Yeah.
Are you crazy?
But okay, well, look, Dak's talent.
No, he's got a lot.
A lot of it.
But what I'm getting at is this dude is in the fire every week if he plays good or not.
And I didn't want that to come off as an anti-Dak thing, but I don't want people to sit here and make it seem like Dak is out here really struck, like they're odds are stacked against them on the field, because they are not. That is a very talented roster, and they have done everything possible to make that roster good. And maybe that's why Jerry feels so empowered to say what he says, Because like, look, I give y'all boys everything. I want more.
Well, I agree, and he's not wrong.
Yeah,
there's better ways to go about the shit that he does, in my opinion.
And he hasn't been to conference. 1999 was the last.
It's hard to tell the guy signing all the checks that y'all motherfuckers is fucking around.
Spent a lot of money on the stadium.
And this boy wants a new deal next year. Like, come on, man. What are we talking about? So, but yes, let's move over to Belichick before we get out of here, because I was just thinking about this yesterday, and I talked about it on my show on MSG, man. Go check out the Juice Bar, by the way, on MSG. Download the app. Go check it out. It's actually, the new show is live today at noon, so in an hour. So go check that out. But Bill Belichick, the situation is nasty over there. I was thinking about this, Nick. So he's been the GM and the coach since 2000. Been running the show as the GM specifically since 2000. He's been calling the shots. He hasn't really been doing that well, calling the shots as of late, especially since Tom Brady left. We know that story. Things I've been reading is that where do we go from here with Bill Belichick? What do we do? Could we keep him as the coach and strip away the GM duties? In my opinion, you absolutely have to keep him on as is or take him off. Because what I was thinking about, Nick, Nick, how old is Bill Belichick? Do you know?
72.
Bill Belichick is 71 years old. The youngest GM in the NFL is Andrew Berry of the Browns. He's 36. A lot of these GMs coming in are around in their 40s is like the median. You mean to tell me you're going to strip Belichick of his GM and then go get a 40-year-old to tell Belichick what to do with the roster and how to shape it? It's just not going to happen.
It's all or nothing.
So it's all or nothing. You got to strip him across the board, coach, GM, clean that out, because if he's still in the building, he still has the sway of everybody. And I think Robert Kraft knows that. So that was just something. How do you feel about that? Just like you either have to get rid of him or keep him. There's no in between. You can't strip him of being the GM or the coach that he's had a post for 23 plus years, and he's 71 years old. I don't know a regular 71-year-old that's changing his routine. You mean to tell me you're gonna get a 71-year-old dude that's resoundingly known as one of the best coaches in NFL history, and then you're going to get him a GM that's 40 years old telling him what to do with a roster?
Right, and what you're also not going to do is bring in some super veteran GM who's going to be headstrong and try to butt heads with Bill Belichick because his way is the highway too. So there is no path to keeping him there. I've been saying all year it's time for him to go. I'm gonna give you some names. All right.
Yeah.
Patriots offensive skill position players drafted in the first 3 rounds since 2012, and did they get a second contract? 2013, Aaron Dobson, no second contract. Garoppolo, no second contract. Prescott, no second contract. Joe Thurney, Sony Michel, Isaiah Wynn, Yodani Kajuste, Damian Harris, N'Keal Harry, Dalton Keene, Devin Asiasi, Matt Jones, and then last year's draft was Tyquan Thornton and Cole Strange. None of those players received a second contract from the New England Patriots. None of those players. I couldn't tell you who half those guys are. All I can tell you is that he drafted Sony Michel over Lamar Jackson. I remember that. Bill Belichick,
this is fireable stuff.
Well, fireable was what he did last year. Matt Jones has had a solid rookie year, especially in the beginning, right? Tailed off a little bit in the end. But that happens with a lot of rookies once they kind of figure you out a bit. Instead of building on that, he inexplicably decides to go with no offensive coordinator and has a special teams coach and a former defensive coordinator be the guys that are in Matt Jones' ear.
Yeah.
There is no reason.
Malpractice.
It didn't make sense at the time. It didn't make sense while it was happening. It does not make sense now as to why you would ever do that with a quarterback. It's decisions like that I think sometimes he does shit. He said, because I can. Because I think it's the right thing. I don't have to answer to anybody.
Especially, Joe Judge, what he did with
Judge and Matt Patricia.
What he did with the Giants.
Fired coaches.
And then it was inexcusable.
Patricia leaves the Lions. They become one of the best teams in the NFL.
Troy Brown has been the wide receiver coach for the the Patriots for I think like 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
Guess what? Troy Brown played for Belichick throughout the Super Bowl era.
Played 2 ways.
He's just backfilling positions with his guys.
Yeah.
And the guys aren't very good. Like it's
very good.
Just clear what's going on.
But I mean, the drafting stuff like that's crazy. You want to talk about, we talk so much about Aaron Rodgers and what they didn't do for him. All those Super Bowls and really Tom masked how bad that Patriots situation was because you removed Tom from that thing and it fell completely apart. And remember, after Tom left, it was like, oh, they got all this cap space. We talked about it. He gave Jonnu Smith a bunch of money. He gave Hunter Henry a bunch of money. 2 tight ends a bunch of money, thinking he could redo Hernandez and Gronk. Didn't work out. The defense has slowly been slipping, right? Offensively, this team, we just talked about over the last 3 games, they're averaging 6.7 points. Do you know how hard it is to average 7 points a game over 3 weeks in the NFL? Like, you're not fixing anything at this point. So the product on the field is bad. The product off the field is bad. And let's keep it honest. We know this guy is no walk in the park to deal with, right? So, and all that's good when you're winning. Like, you deal with Bill being a complete asshole and probably being an asshole to Kraft and everybody in the building because you're winning 6 Super Bowls. But as soon as that's out, right, and you're doing shit like getting rid of offensive coordinators and making a special teams guy who was a failure at the New York Giants, or taking defensive coordinators who was a failure at the Detroit Lions and making them the #1 voices in your ear of your second-year quarterback, because we all know Bill is a defensive guy. Bill is not an offensive coach. So it's not like, hey, it's on me, I'm going to call the plays. You weren't calling the plays. You just said, fuck it, man. I'm not even going to develop this guy. That's egregious. You took him 10th overall or 14th, whatever it was. He was top 15 pick. You just said, and maybe Mac Jones isn't that good, but you want to talk about all-time decisions on a young quarterback. Who does that? Who does that? And then the team this year is worse. You're not getting any better. We talked about it before. There's nothing from this team you would pull away. There's no good players.
Even the special teams. Remember how lights out the special teams used to be?
Terrible.
Special teams is bad too.
Bad.
The team is awful.
The team is awful. This might be the worst team in the NFL. Outside of the Panthers, who are actively not trying to win football games and are just about the Bryce Young development. But if the Panthers and the they beat the Panthers, didn't they? Is that the only team they beat? They beat somebody.
They beat the Jets.
Was it the Jets?
I believe they beat the Jets. Yeah.
Yeah. Whoever it was, whatever it was. Outside of that, I mean, this team is.
Yeah, they beat the Jets. 15-10.
15-10. Come on, man. What are we talking? Oh, they lost to the Saints 34. They lost to the Saints 34-0.
They gave up 34. Yeah, it's nasty.
The Saints suck.
Yeah.
At home. In Foxborough.
And now they have Buffalo, the Dolphins, the Commanders, the Colts, the Giants. But
you don't have a rest till the Giants, maybe. And the Giants versus the Patriots. Oh my God. You might not be able to pay that one.
These are for sure 5 straight losses, playing the Bills and then playing the Dolphins. No doubt.
Yeah, so, and then again, man, like, and I'm telling you, I don't think the relationship between him and Kraft is great. There was the whole Jimmy Garoppolo power struggle.
Yeah.
All of that, man. Like, there's been a lot of shit. There's been a lot
Kraft
of shit.
Just got married, though. He got a new little young chick, man. He's not really like
but, he's not getting his weekly relief. You know what I'm saying? You know when it gets hard for Kraft, he got to pull the limo before he catches the flight to the championship game.
Man. He got Robert Kraft pulled up to the spot, right?
Big Hunter.
Drop it up. Bro, I've never seen a story disappear like that story.
Yo, what? Remember they're supposed to release the tape?
Bro.
They were supposed to release the tape, and you haven't heard about that shit. Robert, he paid the money.
I have never seen a story disappear like that one.
The money.
They had my man dead to rights.
They have the tape.
Bro, they had him dead to rights. They had him pulling up outside. You know, you hop out.
Before he hopped on the PJ to go to the championship game. If I got walking out like this.
He hopped out the limousine, bro. Walked in the spot, bro. They had my man dead to rights, bro.
They had a camera in the room, dog.
Disappeared like something I've never seen out of a movie, bro.
I'm gonna need those tapes. That shit could never see the light of day, bro.
Never, bro. How much? I wonder how much he gave up on that.
It didn't matter.
Yeah, he probably gave up a big bag for that.
It was the name your price tool. whoever Whoever had that joint was the name your price tool, boy. I'd have been like, look, Rob, this shit's worse than you think. Hell no, come on, bro. You got Robert Kraft busting none to strip mall, that shit priceless.
Hold on, let me ask you this, Nick. Hold on, let me ask you this. What is what's the so you're Robert Kraft?
Oh man,
this is your whatever. How old is Robert Kraft? Let me look
80.
it up. He older than 80, bro.
He's old as shit.
Robert Kraft 82. Is 82. Let me ask you this, Nick. So he was probably like 77. You're Robert Kraft. You're a billionaire. You got infinite money. What's the number? So what if my man's on the name your price tool? What number are you saying like, yo, fuck it, just release the tape, G. I don't even care.
Man, I'm
like, what if he come in there asking for crazy bread?
Well, like 100 million?
Yeah,
you're not going to get that.
He want 50
ultimately, the person with the tape doesn't get too much out of releasing it. So you want to extort Robert Kraft. So a good 20 mil.
That's a $20 million tape, probably.
20 mil. I'm happy with. If I have that tape and you give me 20 mil, I'm happy. I'm fine. Here, you can have it.
There's no way he gave him that much, but
he gave him a million. It was in the millions.
Well, because you got to leverage it out. Like TMZ, I wonder, like, how much is TMZ paying for that joint?
Well, that's probably how it works. I'm shopping the tape. Listen, I'm getting an
agent.
Bro.
I'm
calling Eli. I'm like, bro, listen what I got. Hey, it's like Blagojevich. Remember when they had the Blagojevich tape? This thing is gold. That's what I'm like, Eli.
Like that Tiger tape.
The Tiger voicemail. Yes. Hey, it's Tiger.
Yo, I got a tape for you, dude. I'm gonna need
moving on up type shit. Like, man. Dog, I'm if I had that tape, yeah. You wouldn't see me anymore. I'll put it that way. Yeah.
Shout out Bill Belichick and the Patriots. That's a really nasty situation. I would say situations in the NFL, the Bears aren't even number one anymore. I think the Patriots are in the worst situation. I think then it goes to the Broncos. That situation in Denver with how much money Russell's making, with a coach now making bukus of money, with new ownership that just came in last year. That situation is nasty.
You can't get off that deal. His deal, there's 3 deals in the NFL right now, quarterback deals that have big-time buyer's remorse. No, it's Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
It's Kyler Murray, because, again, that deal has not kicked in yet. And the worst one, if you really look at the contract details with Deshaun Watson, have you looked at Deshaun Watson's dead cap numbers? Like,
no, they got to be like 80 mil.
No, dog, it's like 120 million. It never decreases because it's fully guaranteed.
Yeah.
So because of the way that the deal is, I looked at this the other day because I'm like, that situation sounds bad. Like, I know it's fully guaranteed, but like, is there any way you can get out of it? Dog, their dead cap for this year is 220. Next year is 200. The year after that is 137. Yeah. The year after that is 73 million, and then the last year is
He still got time to be good though.
$200 million dead cap number, dog. He doesn't have time. He has time to do whatever the fuck he wants.
No, but that's what I mean.
For sure. Yeah, you feel the best about that one. Like Murray, the Murray one to me is interesting because we can go back to when we talked about when it first happened. They never wanted to sign him. Yeah. He didn't necessarily want to sign there, but he wanted the money.
He's strong. They were
dropping stories about he calls his girlfriend at halftime. He plays video games. Like, they were doing everything possible to
and then he dropped that letter on their ass.
And then he dropped a letter on him, and he got his deal. But like his contract, you're not getting off of that. Everybody's like, "Oh, is what's his face going to go to the Cardinals?" I'm like, how are they getting out of this deal? That deal kicks in next year. Dead cap 52 million, 45 million, 50. His dead cap number goes up 56 million. There's no out of the Kyler Murray deal till 2028. That's your quarterback. Unless you want to pay $60 million for him not to be on your team.
You got to call the cap man. Get the Rams cap man.
Yeah, you need a Ram. Yeah, get the Rams guy. Folks understand the money. That's monopoly money. He understands the deal because they were paying everybody.
Yeah. All right, we're going to leave it there for no catch-up. Sports Talk via Chicago. For Big Nick, the Quick Nick Harvey, I am your host, Sean Little. Make sure you subscribe, tell a homie to tell a friend. We'll see y'all next week.